Hey listeners, welcome to episode 26. In this week's episode, I interviewed Todd Cahill, who is the author of You versus You, 12 Ways to Kick Your Own Ass and Win. I was super excited when Todd reached out and wanted to join my podcast. His book just happened to hit the bestsellers list on Amazon.com, which is super, super exciting. So the book also has a great premise that jives with Pretty Simple Sarah. It's all about you challenging yourself and what's holding you back. In this episode, Todd dives into what has inspired him to write this book and shows true vulnerability. So sit back and enjoy.
Welcome to Pretty Simple Sarah, an inspirational podcast that celebrates the simple things in life. Sarah's episodes focus on the importance of gratitude, kindness, health, and family. She interviews professionals from CEOs to fitness instructors. The most successful leaders share self-awareness, empathy, and kindness. We should all be on a path of self-improvement daily. Tune in and be inspired to create an amazing life.
Hello, listeners. I'm here with Todd. Todd, how are you doing today?
I'm doing great, Sarah. Thanks so much for having me on your amazing podcast. Appreciate the opportunity.
I am so excited. Seriously, it's an honor when you reached out to me. I know that you've been on this amazing journey, and the last couple of months have been a little bit of a whirlwind for you. So I am honored to have you. So thank you.
Thank you.
So let's get started. Let's tell some of the listeners who don't know much about your story and your inspiration behind you writing this new book that you just came out with. It's called You versus You, 12 Ways to Kick Your Own Ass and Win. So just give us a little headliner on how you started this and what inspired you to write the book.
Yeah, it comes from my experience of being an entrepreneur. A little bit of my story, when I was, college, I was a college dropout. I played Division I sports. I loved athletics, but I didn't like school because I grew up, like, my mom was in Mary Kay, and she was like, I grew up in like pink Cadillacs in the 80s, and she always had extra money, and she was always an entrepreneur. So I didn't really think that getting a degree in marketing would really, really fulfill me. Not that college is bad or anything, but just for me personally. And then I started doing sales, and I started working with newspapers and stuff. And that led to a career working for John C. Maxwell. So John Maxwell is one of the biggest names in the world when it comes to leadership. And this was back in the early 2000 years. And I became like the best salesman for him because I really believed in the cause of leadership and influence. And I really wanted to become a leader and develop other leaders, but I was sitting in a cubicle. So it was just kind of me selling for him. So I quit. And I started my career in this thing called network marketing. Some people call it MLM. So a lot of people have maybe a negative connotation to it because maybe of Amway. And for me, I never did because I saw my mom make money in Mary Kay. She actually knew Mary Kay ass before she died. So I really always was positive about it, but I never really got connected to what company. So make a long story short, I found myself in San Diego really struggling financially, lost my job as a personal trainer. And then all of a sudden this opportunity came a month later when I was homeless in a legal company, a legal insurance company. And in 9 years doing that, made millions of dollars, completely changed my life. And then went to an anti-aging company for 6 years, made great money. And but in that process, I saw so many people quit. I saw so many great, talented people that had this why, this burning desire to be successful and have a work-balanced life, just give up on themselves. And then when I really went deeper, because I'm a really deep, analytical, I hate surfacey stuff. Like, I can't listen to a podcast that's surfacey. I mean, even my podcast, it goes deep. So the deeper the iceberg, you want to go on the very, below the water. There was an issue with people on the inside. And everyone was chasing the outside stuff, but what they weren't realizing is how powerful they were on the inside. So that's where the kind of book came out of 5 years ago. And of course, there's a longer story, but I'll share that maybe later in the podcast. But it was always that battle, even within myself. It's like waking up, being disciplined, being a business owner. Like, no one's telling you what to do. I had to have my routine, you versus your routine, you versus your calendar, you versus your finances, you versus your relationships, you versus even your persona. Because I don't want to put out the wrong image. And in that industry, it's all about, in the past, Lamborghinis and suits and ties and women. It's just, like that boiler room kind of thing, or Wolf of Wall Street. And that's just not what I wanted to create. I wanted to create real, authentic leaders that really were vulnerable, because the real courage nowadays, whether you're a man or a woman, is being vulnerable, not how much money you have or how you look or how you come off on social media. So that's where it all kind of really started from, amongst a lot of other things, but just being an entrepreneur and seeing it for myself.
So do you have anything for our listeners on vulnerability, and have you ever taken that head on younger in your life? I mean, was there some point in your life, even when you were doing athletic stuff or something else, where you were like, wow, like vulnerability is so powerful? Or is that something that's more self-aware just recently?
It's self-aware just recently. I just got out of Choice Leadership University in Las Vegas the past 3 weeks. And I literally had to stand on stage last weekend and tell 85 people my deepest, darkest secrets on a stage.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah. So like how I was sexually molested, how I was physically abused by my dad, how I was verbally abused by him for years, how the way that I look at women, and it's not a bad way. I actually look at women, and I know you have a lot of women listeners, and I think this is powerful for me to say this. I actually am so inspired by women. And it came from like the quick story about that. This is where I started to be vulnerable. I transferred high schools like in my senior year, and a woman or a girl, 18 years old, and she was really attractive and cute. And I didn't actually date because I was so like to myself, and I struggled with acne and I went from 5'9" to 6'6". So I was kind of awkward in that year, but I was a very good athlete. She's like, hey, you should do cross country. I'm like, hey, cute girl. Okay, cool. We never dated or anything. And I went on the cross country team just to get better for basketball, because that was my dream. I ended up winning states because I did it for a girl. And then the track and field later that year, another girl that was very nice to me and was one of the top track and field runners, she said, you should do track. So I didn't even know what track was. I never did my whole life. And I broke the Roger Bannister mile. And I back in 1953, when he broke it, I ran a 358 mile. And I didn't even know what I did. In 1999, I got all these athletic scholarships on the spot and everything. So, and that's just two cases, but I've always been inspired by women, but I've never been really vulnerable with women. You know what I mean? Like really, because I've always wanted to be like the Gladiator, the Braveheart, like I will fight for you.
Well, and that came so natural to you too.
Right.
Because that was like almost this identity that you fell into naturally, but it really didn't define you.
Exactly. And then, like you said, awareness. I love that word, because self-awareness leads to the choice to make a change. And, even just recently, I've had to make some really huge changes in my life and shifts, which, like I told you on a one-on-one conversation, ever since this darn book came out, because I'm the author of You versus You. It's not like I'm the author of like a novel, where I can kind of maybe hide behind that, because it's not about me personally, but because of this book, I've been exposed in certain ways. I've been exposed in bad ways, and I've been exposed in good ways. So it's just kind of like, it's all because of a bigger plan, but it's made me really open up and break down the walls of this persona of being this masculine man who never talks about his feelings, who just crushes it, grinds it, works hard, is so successful. If I have to hear someone say, oh, you and your wife are so beautiful and you're a power couple, I'm going to throw up.
Because you're like, you have no idea. There's so much more.
You have no idea. Just even the struggles that, even in marriage, the ups and downs, and just like, it's just, it's just difficult, to really give someone else your full, like, even listening and your full attention, because I'm so driven. I think it's really hurt me in so many ways too, because I want to refocus that drive into really the impact that I'm really making, and not just the impact on my own personal life.
Mm-hmm. And even though you wrote the book, it doesn't mean you're an expert in like self-discovery and self-growth, because it sounds like you're figuring that out each day too.
And that's what I say in the book.
Yeah,
exactly. I'm not the expert of You versus You. If I was, that would be crazy, because I don't think anyone on this planet is the expert of, You versus You and the 12 battles. But I kind of wrote the book to be like, hey guys, come on the journey with me. I'm just like you. I struggle with this. Maybe I've mastered this battle, but man, I really stink at this battle. You know what I mean? So I can say that in the book, like I'm no expert at all, but there's certain things I have done in my past that I was able to, I think, with authority, write the book. But now that the book's out, it's like almost like, okay, it's all about integrity with me. So that's why I had to go through the fire the past couple of weeks of going through this course and discovering who I really am, and then having the breakthroughs and just being the best version of myself and showing up the right way, and anxiety and fear, and really, dealing with a lot of that and making sure that they don't really, hurt me anymore, because I'm actually a mental coach. Like, I help people in their subconscious and meditation. And that's why there's a brain on the cover of my book, because it is really all how you think. And if you can change your thinking and create that awareness and understand, like, even law of attraction, like, oh my gosh, like, so many doors can open up for people.
Yeah, I had a similar experience. I went out to LA last summer and did the MITT training, which sounds like it's a similar leadership program that you did out in Las Vegas.
Okay.
And it's a fascinating, those of us who are athletic, natural leaders, doesn't mean that we have things figured out. But I think that it's really refreshing coming from you as a male, that you guys have those same struggles. And yes, women voice it a lot, but like you and the Lewis Howes of the world, there's not a ton of you out there, but it's a human instinct. So let's kind of talk about what are some of the human characteristics that really sabotage people's successes. I know that you list some in your book, so let's just kind of hammer some of those out.
Yeah, I mean, I think I listed a few of them in my book, but off the top of my head now, I think it's arrogance. I think it's pride. I talk about self-sabotaging, yourself in the book, and I think we've all been there. But I think it's also this overestimation of yourself. I think people, especially, the athletes, and I'm not talking about the regular guy or gal that's just, kind of just working the job, coming home, watching TV. I'm talking about, like, really the driven people out there that really want to make an impact. They have dreams and goals, and they're willing to risk. But those people also can really self-sabotage more than just the everyday going people, because they might think they know it all. They might think, like, well, I don't need that. I don't need to go read anymore. And let me just discuss that real quick. In entrepreneurship, there has been points in my career, because I talk about it, because we're on calls all day, because I'm leading people. I stopped reading 10 pages of a good book every day. I stopped listening consistently to the good tapes and the good CDs, because I thought, well, I'm good.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Yeah.
So arrogance, can just kind of come in and take over.
Yes. And then you might not see it in that moment, obviously. It's like the skinny guy that eats a hamburger today at McDonald's. He's not going to be obese today. But if he does it for the next 30, 60, 90 days, he's going to be obese. Like, it's the compound effect that takes place. So even with your finances, like you versus your finances, it's like, you make a lot of money. Like, I've made millions, but then I've also spent millions in my 20s and early 30s. And it's just like, now I'm 38. I'm like, I would never buy that Corvette. I would never buy that $1 million house. Like, I would rather just live in a 700-foot apartment in Chicago and not have a big home. I mean, like, I've totally shifted. Like, I don't care about cars. Like, I just want a nice car that works well. And we have a Lexus on lease. And, I used to have a Sport. Like that stuff don't matter. What matters to me is just a bigger bank account where I don't have to worry. And again, that's that image that we're putting out there, like, oh, look at me. But, like, nobody really cares, at the end of the day, right?
No, at the end of the day, no one cares at all. But the fact that you've realized that at a somewhat young age is refreshing. And I think also you being in Chicago, I realized this in Chicago, it was a lot about, like, a front of, like, what neighborhood do you live in? When did you buy your condo, and how much did you pay for it? And what position do you have at this corporate job? And it's like, go, 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 go. I will say, since we've moved down to Nashville, there's not as much of that. And now that I've gotten in my 30s, I've realized stuff really does not define you. And going back to that, being smart about your money and being financially free and not worrying about it lessens that anxiety, because who are you really trying to prove?
Exactly. I know. But if you have any people that are listening to this podcast, Sarah, in 20s and early 30s, this is a huge warning to you all the millennials out there and everything that are chasing. But I think millennials nowadays are actually smart, because I have a lot of, contacts that are millennials. I think they're very intuitive and smart, more than I was when I was in my 20s. But back when I was 20, it was more like, in that industry, do you own your house? Do you have a Ferrari? Do you have, what kind of car do you have? Because that would define like if I'm going to follow you or not.
Mm-hmm.
As a leader, what kind of suit do you have? What kind of shoes do you have? What kind of belt do you have? I mean, now it's like I shop at H&M, and I have nice shoes and a nice watch, but my clothes are from Macy's and H&M and they're on sale. So it's like so the same with my wife. Like she might have her Louis purses, but that's about it. Like we just go to TJ Maxx, and we just have learned so much through this process of failing. And again, me, I always say I, not we or you, but I've learned so much in this process of just how stupid I was in my 20s, like stupid. But awareness, right? Thank God I'm not stupid in 38, 39 going into my 40s, because that's a bad age to be stupid. So I take the lesson, but I'm never going back to that. And that's one of the major you versus you battles is, of course, the money part.
Yeah, and I think it's interesting about the millennials and your observation on that. But one thing that I think you mentioned when you were doing your CNN interview is the comparisonitis of social media. So I was just talking to a woman about this today. My following is growing fast on Instagram, but I'm not on there to compare. I'm really on there to network, meet people like you, who are like-minded. But a lot of that generation and people younger, a generation younger than us, they are so into that, and the comparisonitis and like like everything needs to be perfect. And that just feeds into that anxiety. So can you kind of dive into anxiety? Because I think a lot of people tend to hate to say that they're anxious or they have anxiety, but it's a huge, I feel like, society thing in America that we don't talk about.
No, it's not. In fact, because of social media, and I wrote about it, I talk about the surge of social media coming in 2003 with MySpace, and then LinkedIn, followed by Facebook in 2004, and then you got Twitter in 2006, and then Instagram 2010, and then Snapchat. Oh my God. I mean, Snapchat, especially from millennials, just exploded starting in 2012. But the suicide rate because of social media with millennials has skyrocketed. Suicide.
Hey listeners, this episode is brought to you by SO2 Digital, a full-service digital media company that helps small to large businesses with their digital marketing. Services include Google Search, on, off-site SEO, social advertising such as Facebook, Instagram, and Snapchat, and audio advertising like Spotify and podcasts. For more information, go to so2digital.com.
Wow. It's just crazy when I did the research on the book, and it's the illusion of creating the perfect life on social media that has been around almost as long as social media itself. And by playing into it, we are putting an increasing demand on ourselves to live out the illusion that we've created in order to keep up the facade. So think about this, anxiety-wise. So you put a photo on. So let me talk I'm not a woman, but I observe my experience with women. Mm-hmm. So women have to look perfect on social media, and they have to look sexy. They have to show their butt. They have to be it's just like every time I scroll on Instagram, I get like, oh my gosh, is this pornography or is this Instagram? It's just crazy sometimes how women think they have to put themselves out there the way like that they do. But then not only is it a great picture and they think, oh my gosh, they get a lot of likes, they get a lot of comments, but they have to live like that now. Because everyone thinks that that's who they are. And that's the problem, because that's not who they really are. They have a mind, they have a soul, it's more than just a body. They have a personality, they have dreams, they have ambitions. But now, especially the guys, are just looking at them like, oh, you're just that. So what they're doing is they're really screwing themselves, even in jobs, because their employer, the first thing employers are looking at is their social media. Guys as well. Guys are putting on, so we have to be very careful. And again, I'm not trying to point fingers because I'm only responsible for me. At the end of the day, everyone can do whatever they want, but that's not no judgment. But the statistics are there. And even in high school, like if you're 17, 16, I mean, I know, people that have an account and their children have an account, they're 10, 13 years old. I mean, we think about the pressure. Like, okay, I'm going to post something. Oh, how many people commented? How many people liked me? Oh, nobody commented. Oh, maybe I'm not liked. And then now they're starting to really think about that. Their confidence level is really going down. I mean, it's pretty sad. So social media is cool for businesses. It's cool for me, to gain clients and to maybe sell some books. But man, I kind of wish there wasn't anything in social media, but at the same time, I would never have known you, and I never would have got the gig at CNN and now Fox News and ABC News because they saw me on Instagram. So I just go on for business, but I'm not on to, see everybody and see how many likes people have, because it's also a drain of time. So yeah, I'm just kind of giving you that warning. I mean, get my book, because my favorite battle is the one I wrote about in Battle 1. It's the persona thing. And what I really said is, if you want to, winning the battle takes a concerted effort to stop spending time trying to impress others and instead spend it doing the things you are meant to do, the things that move you. So if you looked at social media, it's just like, you know what, this is just my platform to inspire. I mean, look at like Justin Bieber and The Rock. Like, Justin Bieber used to post really, really dumb things 2 years ago. Like, really like him just kind of laughing and being goofy. And I like his music. But now he's more inspirational. He's posting like about his pastor, Carl Lentz, and, his faith. And then you got The Rock, who's, major following, but he's like working out and he's always happy. I mean, if even the celebrities can come together and be like, let's just only inspire people and not just post to post because we get likes, that's where we can really make an impact. And you don't have to be a celebrity to make an impact, but I think you will have more of a following and a more of a real, authentic following if you really just be more real and authentic and not trying to filter everything and use IGTV and just make a video and just share your thoughts. And it could be about anything, but just make sure it's inspirational and motivational, because people like that, and they also like dogs. So, that's about it. So pictures of dogs and inspiration, that's all people really like or want on social media.
Yeah, you are so good about posting videos. You've inspired me. I need to do more of that. Because I come from like the advertising side of things, I tend to be more visually focused instead of showing up authentically on the videos, which I do. I love that. And I've only done like one or two. So that's going to be my challenge, to show up on the video. Yeah. One of the other things that I noticed that we have in common is we both love fitness, and we also are very in tune with like meditation. I personally have to do both of those every day just to make me tick. Are you the same way?
Yes. I could almost cry talking about meditation. It saved my life. I have had suicidal thoughts in my past, and I've tried to commit suicide twice in my life.
Oh gosh.
Yeah. So it was all because of certain circumstances that I realize now why. And it's crazy, because going through even this journey in the past couple of weeks, like, so much of that has come up because, if you don't meditate, you don't gain access to your subconscious mind. And we have 60 to 90,000 thoughts a day. So how in the world, if you don't know how to control your subconscious mind, you're only on conscious thinking. Like, subconscious thoughts are like, they're there. And 90% of them or more is what you were thinking 10 years ago. So if there's no self-awareness and you're not piloting your mind, that's why a lot of people get negative. And then when getting negative, it's like a drug. And this is what really threw me when I read Dr. Joe Dispenza's work, Breaking the Habit of Being Yourself, 4 years ago. Basically, like cocaine, alcohol, smoking, tobacco, you and I and all of us, we can get addicted to being negative and literally live in that state of mind for the rest of our lives. That's why you see a lot of marriages. Maybe they're still together, but they're not happy. You see a lot of people just, I went out on Saturday to Las Vegas, and I got a white t-shirt with a bunch of my guys, and we put free hugs. And we went to the Miracle Mile, and we literally filmed it on Facebook. It's on my Facebook pages. And we literally were like, free hugs. And everyone's like, I would say 50% of people were like, what do you want from me?
Oh my gosh, like so skeptical. Like, I'm not gonna.
So skeptical. Well, here's my observation. My experience with that was almost all the women, no problem. The men, hardly, I would say 20% of the men said yes, 80% said no. Like, no, I'm good, bro. But that's why for me, I want to really speak to the men in my life, because I know how I've been, and secretly in my own head, and almost try to commit suicide as a man. And I know there's a lot of other men that are driven, that might have it, that might even be really good looking, like really like good looking, tall guys that are like, you look at them and you're like, oh my gosh, I wish I was that if you're another guy. But those, I think, are the guys that are really struggling, because even being good looking, and I know I'm not trying to be weird about this, but it's kind of sucks sometimes, because like everyone judges you. As soon as I walk into a room, everyone's like, oh, he's 6'6" and he's good looking. Oh, he's a jerk. Like that's their first thought, most guys. And I know that because I actually went through this breakthrough with 85 people. And that's what the guys told me in the beginning. Like, oh man, you come in here and, you know, we just think that you're, but then they get to know me like, oh, we love you. You're amazing. I'm like, exactly. But it's because I walked in, because I'm 6'6" and I have it together, so to speak, and I get judged. That's been all the way to my college years. So it's not just, you know, if you're overweight, you get judged. It's actually, even if you're good looking, you get judged. So mental health, everyone's struggling with it. Everybody. Everyone in this world. You walk to Chicago, you know, everyone's struggling with it. I don't care if they're good looking, or if they don't have any confidence about themselves, or they're overweight. I mean, whatever. Everyone struggles with it. So A, have some compassion and empathy. And B, know for you that you struggle with it too, your listeners, and then meditate every morning. And you just go to YouTube and put in Abraham Hicks, or, you know, Dr. Wayne Dyer, or, you know, there's so many cool like things on YouTube that you just go to sleep with, wake up in the morning with, and it lowers your brain waves. And you can just start believing your day is going to be great, that the universe has your back, that the universe is not working against you, it's working for you.
Mm-hmm. It has been really, really influential for me. I do it at night. I do it right before I go to bed. And my husband calls it my Indian boyfriend. And I put it on. And sometimes I'll have my earbuds in, and sometimes I'll have it on speaker. And it's just the way for me to unwind that river of trash. Especially for us go-getters out there, our minds are always racing. And it's just very, very refreshing to kind of reset those brain waves.
Absolutely. Yeah, I go to bed with that and then wake up completely energized and stuff, because you don't have like a lot of people go to bed with like their Instagram and Facebook and scrolling, and then again, what does that do? It brings contempt for themselves. It brings jealousy. It brings like, a failure feeling, like, I'm not doing enough with my life, because they see maybe people that are. But again, it's all facade. So never judge anyone through Instagram and Facebook, because you don't know the real story.
Yeah. It's just whatever they're putting up there. So you are a life coach and leadership trainer. And I know that you talk about the 12 battles in your book. We obviously don't have time to go through all 12, but can you just talk about 3 of your favorite ones? I know routine
sure.
is a big one.
Yeah. It's hard to say what my favorite are. I would say the most that people probably would get out of, just because I know people, is obviously you versus your health, which is one of my favorite. You versus your finances. We talked about you versus your persona, but I would say you versus your dreams, because there's a bounty even when you're following your dreams. And that's what I've realized even with this book. This book was a 5-year dream, but there's certain mistakes that I made with it, and there's certain things I wish I could take back with it. But obviously it's out and it's great, and I'm so proud of it. But there's certain things that I wish I didn't do following my dreams, because I think we hear, like, even on Instagram, these memes, right? Follow your heart, follow your dreams, be happy. Just all BS. It's all BS. You have to be very careful about these memes and stuff. I mean, following your dreams, there's always going to be a cost to your dreams. And I've seen people go after their dreams, but they lose their family. I've seen people go after their dreams, but they lose their children. So there has to be a work-life balance with your dreams. So, it's kind of really deep when you dive into that battle of really what that looks like, because all books are like, follow your dreams, create a vision, set some goals. And it's just like, blah, 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 blah. That's not how it is. It's much more deeper than that. And I obviously discussed it in my dreams. You versus your health. I'm a health nut. I would live in the gym if I could. I used to be a personal trainer. I don't know. I guess it just takes all my energy out, and I feel so great. And I love looking great. And I used to be in bodybuilding and stuff. So that's just really good for people that start to get on the right track with that. And then, of course, I think most people out there struggle with their finances. So if you can, and that's a heart issue. So a lot of people think like, finances is all about budgeting, saving. No way. It's a heart issue. So, all I got to do is follow someone's heart, and there's where their money's going to be.
Mm-hmm. So as you've taken on this journey and writing the book and self-discovery, You obviously are married, you have children. Was there an impact? I'm just curious, was there an impact on your marriage? Did your wife get on board with all of this? I mean, you guys talked about your own struggles, but is your marriage the best it's been since the book has come out and all these self-discoveries?
Yeah, no, it's definitely been a challenge. And going through versus your finances, I didn't realize how much. I'm being completely transparent with you on your podcast, but I think it's good that people love that. This book cost me hundreds of thousands of dollars, and I had it, which is good. But I wish I maybe delayed some things here, delayed some things there. I fell into this trap of trusting people. So I had this person that was an agent, so-called agent, that basically ran me ragged and never really did what he said he was going to do. And I trusted him. And I spent hundreds of thousands of dollars of our money. So because I had this dream, because I didn't know any better. So that really didn't help my marriage, you know. No, my wife did the epilogue, and she wrote a wonderful epilogue in the back. She's on the back of the book, and she's been very, very supportive. But like, for me, I wish I could take some of that back and say no. And say, nope, I'm not going to do it. I'll find another way. But I think I got too weak in saying yes to so many people that, because I posted about it 5 years ago. I just posted a vision, statement saying I am a best-selling author. I am sharing the stages with the biggest thought leaders in the world, and some of that's already happened. So somebody kind of used that against me in a persuasive way. If that makes sense.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
Yeah. So,
yeah, that's hard.
So, yeah, because I had a dream and I was so naive. But my book is tier 1. What that means is the same as Rachel Hollis, the same as Tony Robbins. It's been a national bestseller. It's in all Barnes & Noble, Walmart's, and Target. I did it the best. I did it the highest level as a first-time author. This isn't a self-published book. I'm published by Greenleaf Publishing in Austin, Texas. Only 3% of authors ever get signed, ever. And I don't even think I passed English class in high school, so I barely did. And I think the book came out very, very good. I've gotten so many great reviews on it. Like, some people have said it's the best book they've ever read. Most motivating. So it's been great. On Goodreads.com, Amazon.com, and just literally on Instagram when I see people tagging me. So I'm very proud of it. It's just I wish I would have known, but I learned a lot of lessons that I'm rebuilding that now.
Yeah, but gosh, big props to you. How amazing that you wrote this book. It's doing phenomenally well. I call you the new Lewis Howes. I'm halfway through the book. I have it sitting right next to me. It's hard with a full-time job, podcast, and 2 children, little ones, to get through the book. But I will get there, Todd.
Right.
I'll finish it in the next week here. But I am just so honored for you to be on the podcast and to speak to our listeners and be vulnerable and be inspirational. So one thing I do ask all of my interviewees at the end of it is name a couple things that you are grateful for right in this moment.
Todd Cahill. I am very grateful to be on your podcast. I'm very grateful for the opportunity to really share my dreams today in front of your audience. And also I'm grateful for my family, my wife, and just living in Chicago. It's actually really beautiful. So I'm very grateful for the weather, and I'm looking at Lake Michigan right now and kind of living the life that I really am proud of. Oh,
that's so great. I am very jealous. I do love Chicago. I love the vibes of Chicago. There's something about Chicago in the summertime. Just like even walking down State Street, I get this energy high. It's like my favorite city to be in the summer. We were just there a couple weeks ago and took the kids to the Cubs game and
nice.
Went out, and it's such a great city in the summer.
Yeah, exactly. And Christmas.
Oh, the lights.
Oh, yeah.
So beautiful. Well, thank you so much, Todd. I can't wait to see where everything goes, because you've already skyrocketed with the book, and can't wait to share this episode with my listeners. So thank you again for joining.
Thank you, Sarah, for having me. It's been an honor. Thank you.
Thanks for listening to Pretty Simple Sarah. If you liked the episode, post it on Instagram with hashtag Pretty Simple Sarah Nashville. You can also subscribe to the podcast through iTunes to get alerts on future podcast episodes. Go be the best version of yourself today, and try to connect with others. You never know what you will learn.